Hello everyone, welcome you all back to the subject of industrial engineering and management. This video will continue with what we have been discussing in the previous video about Lean Six Sigma. So we have seen about Muda, Mura and Muri. Now we will be discussing about the other concepts of Lean Six Sigma. And this video, it's going to be a very short video. We'll be discussing only about the key important categories of cycle time, lead time and talk time. Most of the time, these three terms are quite used interchangeably. Of course, they find a few similarities and there are a few differences as well as. We'll be discussing about what are those similarities and differences as well. All these three, cycle time, lead time, talk time, all these three times have been more focused towards about the process improvement, and it helps you to identify where the waste is about. So in way it is directly related to about lean manufacturing, which is more focused towards elimination of waste. When you calculate the cycle time, lead time and talk time, you'll be able to know where actually the product is lacking, the process is lacking, and where the wastes are bound to occur, or probably where you can predict that the wastes are occurring, or you also measure that the wastes are occurring over there. That will help the lean principles or the lean analysis to focus towards there, and possible ways of reducing that has to be done. Now, what is cycle time? We'll start with the full concept of lead time. So lead time is on a bigger picture, which is about starting from, I have also an example which has been listed, which is about creation of burgers. It's about the creation of burgers and how you can relate talk time, cycle time and lead time in a burger shop. Lead time, it is the total time from the start to the end of the process, which means that once your order is placed, then the manufacturing starts. Once the manufacturing starts, then there is an end to the manufacturing. Once the manufacturing process is completed, you just dispatch it to the distributors and then the order is delivered to the customers. The time from which the order is received by the industry to the time in which the order has been delivered to the customer, that is considered to be the lead time. Now the next category is your cycle time. Cycle time is more focused towards the production time. It is the net production time, to the ratio of net production time to the number of units produced. On a simpler term, you put that, you consider that to be the start of the manufacturing time to the end of the manufacturing time. Now you can relate to the example over here. Here 13 minutes pass from the customer's order to the finished burger, which means that for our order time, when the customer is placing an order of getting a burger, it will take 13 minutes for the manufacturer, here refers to the person, the cook, to create the burger and deliver to the customer. What is the cycle time here? You are spending only 12 minutes on each burger, which means that there is 1 minute which is spent on other activities, even though that may be related to the work of creation of a manufacturing of a burger. The more specific time which is focused towards the manufacturing, start of the manufacturing to the end of the manufacturing, is what you consider to be your cycle time. So here the cycle time is only about 12 minutes. Now then, what is your talk time then? Talk time is more precisely the workable production hours we have to spend, or you have to allot to the ratio of the customer demand, which means that how many units you need to produce. Now looking up to the customer demand here, the talk time is a rate at which you have to work, which means that here the rate at which the person or the cook has to work to meet the customer demand. So what it asks for, since the customers are waiting, you could see that so much of customers are waiting, it asks for the person to work 10 minutes on a burger, which means that he need to create to ensure that the talk time is only 10 minutes. It is the actual workable production hours. But what the cycle time is about, it is about 12 minutes. So which means that there is a 2 minutes of differences which is to be addressed, and that is the place where you need to analyze, is there any non-value added activities which has been carried over by the cook knowingly or unknowingly, and you have to focus on that particular aspect and choose upon all possible ways of removing them. So that will create a much more easier or more productive output to meet the customer demand of this particular case of burgers. So I hope you'll be very clear about it, because these three terms are very important when you speak about lean and supply chain concepts. Lead time, cycle time. I will repeat again. Lead time is the overall picture where it is from the order start to the order end, which is about the time in which the order is received by the company to the time in which the order is delivered to the customers. And cycle time, it comes to the next shortened version. It is only about start of the manufacturing to the end of the manufacturing. That is called a cycle time. Then what is about talk time? Talk time is more precisely about the actual workable production hours you need to allot to the customer demand. Depending upon the customer, if the customer demand is, now say for example, since there are 4 customers here, you see that they have calculated that for every 10 minutes you have to bring up with one burger. Now say for example, if the customer demand is only 2, obviously that will be little bit different. And obviously if the customer waiting outside is going to be 10 or 20, again the start time is going to be little more different. So that is how you calculate cycle time, lead time and talk time. Now we'll be seeing about Six Sigma. Six Sigma is one of the very key important aspect and one of the most important techniques of quality management. So what Six Sigma gives to the business? It enables the companies to increase their profits by streamlining the operations, and also it eliminates all the defects or the mistakes which the company does. They may be doing it even without knowing that those are the mistakes or errors which have been doing it. It will create this methodology will adapt in a situation in a way that the company, when followed Six Sigma, the process will be more optimized and they will be able to give the process without any errors. It is about achieving zero defects. You can see many companies, whenever you have gone for any industrial visits or internship, you could see many industries with this tagline, achieving zero defects. It's about zero defects is achieved through following Six Sigma concept. So what is the objective of Six Sigma? The ideal aim is to satisfy the customer. So how do you satisfy? Rather than giving them any additional services, you just change the internal performance and processes in a way that will reflect on the quality of the product, and that will in turn satisfy your customers. It also helps to better the performance by creating a better design and improves the quality of supplies and other operational processes. And more importantly, Six Sigma concept helps you to manage the cost much more effectively. Of course, there are different definitions and there are different sayings about Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a philosophy, you could say. Yes, Six Sigma, because with this perspective views all the works as processes that can be defined, measured, analyzed and improved, and control can be done. And it is a philosophy because it requires input and produce output. So you could generally express Six Sigma as Y as the output which is required, which is a function of X. So depending upon the number of inputs and the function of input, your output gets varied. And you can call Six Sigma as a set of tools as well, as because it uses both qualitative and quantitative techniques as well. So one of the important aspect of Six Sigma is that it uses statistical process control, where it helps you to quantify all the work. Usually there is a saying that when you speak about quality, you need to quantify that. So quantification of quality plays a key role. So Six Sigma concept utilizes this concept of statistical process control chart and all the effect analysis, so that it helps you to quantify the work done or the output in a much more easier way. And Six Sigma can also be considered as a methodology where you follow certain approaches, which is called as DMAIC. D stands for define, M stands for measure, A for analyze, I for improve, and C for control. So DMAIC is a Six Sigma steps which is expected to follow. So it starts with identification of problem and it ends with implementation of the long-lasting solution. A simple display about how Six Sigma works. So Six Sigma here refers to, see, obviously Six Sigma is denoted by plus or minus Six Sigma, which means that it is about plus 3 sigma on the positive side and minus 3 sigma on the negative side. When you speak about 3 sigma, it is about plus 1.5 sigma on the positive side and minus 1.5 sigma on the negative side. So Six Sigma, when you follow Six Sigma, you could see that you could have seen this curve more often in your statistics and mathematics part. It is called the normal distribution curve. It is also called as the bell curve. So whenever a process is measured, you see that the process, when it is followed bell curve, it is ideal, it is understood there, or it is concluded that the process is followed to the ideal extent. So you will be finding very lesser possibility of defects and errors whenever a process is followed in a normal distribution curve, which means that the possibility of errors is 0.001 parts per million, which means that 99.99% of the products are defect free. That is the ideal objective of Six Sigma. Whenever a Six Sigma concept is followed, the number of defects coming out will be 0.001 ppm, which is 99.99% of the products are defect free. Now, having discussed about Lean and Six Sigma individually, now we'll see what Lean Six Sigma is put together. Lean, as we have seen, it is elimination of waste, more focused towards elimination of waste, and it uses the PDCA, which is plan, do, check and act methodology for achieving continuous improvement. And Six Sigma individually, it uses the methodology of DMAC, define, measure, analyze, and improve control, and it also utilizes a few of the statistical tools and FMEA chart for continuous improvement. You could see here both the concepts of Lean and Six Sigma, they are more focused, they are predominantly focused towards continuous improvement. Of course, the methodology they are using is little bit of quite different in nature, but they are more focused, they are primarily focused towards improving the process in a more continuous way. So put together, Lean Six Sigma is about finding out or leveraging the best problem solving methodologies to ensure that the organizations or the firm, they are able to satisfy the customers in a much easier way. That is the concept of Lean Six Sigma. Why we need to follow Lean Six Sigma? The first and foremost reason is to meet the challenge of the competing competitors in the globalized market. As we have discussed in the previous video, you could see that the quality, cost, and delivery are finding a greater aspect of performance measurement since there are so much of international competition which is happening to all the products. Gone are those days when you see that the product is completely monopoly, right? And you also need to compete effectively and increase the customer expectations, because the customer expectations keeps on increasing day by day. A good example can be quoted in a way that from 15 and 20 years back, you see that camera was not considered to be a mandatory requirement in a mobile phone, right? If you had camera, it was considered as an add-on feature. But now a product of mobile phone will obviously require a camera, and that too of a good quality, which is a mandatory requirement. So you could see the customer expectations or keeps on changing day by day. So that is the reason why industries are also finding that they need to be much more flexible and more adaptable to the changing environment. So that has to be done without compromising the quality and also not incurring so much of cost. So that becomes a bit of a difficult task for the industry. They need to make sure the production or the process much more flexible. They also need to ensure that they are not compromising the quality of the product. And the third constraint is they are not spending much, and they are not going to incur losses by spending much on the product. So that all these concepts put together, when you follow this concept, when you given the need for Lean Six Sigma to be incorporated in the industries on a greater scale. Of course, they have been following Lean separately and Six Sigma separately, but put together, Lean Six Sigma is finding a greater importance in industries because of all these requirements and all these challenges which are faced by the industries. Thank you. We'll continue the remaining part of the next video.